I've noticed a recurring pattern in the way audiences respond whenever a new and exceptionally talented female dancer emerges in the K-pop scene. Almost immediately, the comparisons to Lisa begin. And before y'all start, I'm fully aware that katseye is not technically a K-pop group. However, they operate within a K-pop adjacent framework. The group was formed through a trainee system modeled directly after the K-pop industry, and they actively promote within K-pop spaces. In that context, it's reasonable that they're discussed alongside K-pop acts, even if their official classification differs. From what I remember, much of this seemed to escalate around the time Daniela posted a TikTok dancing to Lisa's song, New Woman. What should have just been a cute, fun dance cover somehow turned into a wave of comparisons. A significant number of fans began contrasting the two, often diminishing Lisa's abilities in order to elevate Daniela's performance. And that's where my frustration lies. Why does it have to unfold this way every single time? Almost overnight, my TikTok feed was saturated with side-by-side edits, commentary posts, and thinly veiled critiques framed as analysis. As someone who genuinely supports both artists and their respective groups, it was exhausting to watch. Mainly because with these comparisons, they did not appear to stem from thoughtful analysis of their technical dance skills, but rather from a tendency to align with whichever online narrative was most relevant or popular at the moment. Both Lisa and Daniela have been dancing for the majority of their lives, and that longevity is evident in their level of control and comfort on stage. However, their training backgrounds and stylistic foundations are not identical. Daniela's early development appears to be more rooted in Latin-based styles. Lisa has also been dancing since the age of 4, and was even in a dance group with Bam Bam from GOT7. But you also have to remember, she entered the K-pop trainee system at just 14 years old, an environment that prioritizes a very specific kind of performance discipline. The K-pop trainee system is fundamentally different from many traditional dance paths. Idol choreography is not designed solely to showcase individual technical skills. It is built around group cohesion, camera framing, synchronization, and visual balance. Especially within girl groups, choreography often prioritizes clarity, repeatability, and stage aesthetics over complexity. The goal is not necessarily to execute the most technically demanding routine, but to deliver a polished, unified performance that translates well both live and on camera. This context is important when discussing Blackpink. Their choreography has often been described as accessible or minimalist compared to some other performance-heavy groups. However, that creative direction does not equate to a lack of skill. In fact, it reinforces the idea that group performances are about balance. When you're part of a 4-member act, the expectation is cohesion, not one member attempting to overpower the stage at the expense of the group dynamic. It's frustrating to see Lisa's abilities judged primarily through the lens of Blackpink's group choreography, particularly when that same framework would likely be used against her if she consistently attempted to outshine the group. In K-pop, there is a delicate line. If an idol underperforms, they are criticized. If they dominate too strongly, they are accused of overshadowing their members. The standard is often contradictory. To be clear, Blackpink has had its share of synchronization discourse in the past, but that is a separate conversation from assessing individual dance capability. Evaluating Lisa's skill requires looking at her solo stages, dance performances, and overall body control. She demonstrates exceptional isolations, sharp execution of her moves, strong sense of rhythm, and undeniable stage presence. Her control over dynamics, knowing when to hit hard and when to restrain, is part of what makes her compelling in my eyes. And Daniela is also a very exceptional dancer. And like I mentioned earlier, she has been dancing virtually her entire life. Her mother also comes from a dancing background, and Daniela was even on America's Got Talent. And guess what her talent was? Yes, dancing. Daniela brings a very explosive, high-impact energy to her performances. There's a sharpness and fullness in the way she completes her movements that immediately draws your eye. One of Daniela's strongest qualities is her musicality. You can see the influence of Latin-based styles in her movement quality because there's fluidity through her hips and torso, and a natural groove that makes her performances feel dynamic. Ultimately, preferring one dancer over the other is completely valid. Personal taste will always play a role in how we respond to performance. What becomes weird to me is the pattern of dragging one in order to uplift another. Unfortunately, the situation escalated even further once it surfaced that Daniela's father had made a very weird and uncomfortable comment under a Facebook post that, once again, was fueling the Daniela and Lisa comparisons. Up until that point, most of the viral comparison videos and comment sections were overwhelmingly critical of Lisa. The narrative centered on diminishing her abilities in order to elevate Daniela. However, once Daniela's father's comment began circulating, the energy flipped almost overnight. The same spaces that had been dragging Lisa were now flooded with people directing that same hostility toward Daniela instead. That shift says a lot. It highlights that, for many participants in these discussions, the issue was never truly about dance technique, musicality, or performance analysis. It was not a thoughtful debate about stylistic differences or training backgrounds. Instead, it became clear that the comparisons functioned as a vehicle for tearing one woman down to temporarily uplift another. When the target changed, the hostility simply followed. And I see this happening all the time within K-pop spaces. Rather than allowing two skilled performers to coexist and be evaluated on their own merits, conversations often devolve into zero-sum narratives. One must be declared superior, and the other must be positioned as inferior. There is rarely space for nuance. And I understand constructive criticism. I'm not here to say that you can't criticize Lisa or Daniela's dancing. But within K-pop spaces, even if conversations do initially start off as constructive criticism, that criticism is quickly replaces with pure hate. In the end, what this situation shows us is that these debates are often less about genuine critique and more about momentum. The person being praised today can easily become the person being criticized tomorrow. That cycle is less about dance and more about online culture's tendency to thrive on opposition rather than balanced discussion. But that's just my thoughts. Leave yours in the comments below so we can get a discussion going, and I'll see you later.